Everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Come on in and sit down, if you will, please. You know, at Westrock, we like to start on time. And we're stalling for our keynote speaker for just a minute, but just a minute. Y'all come on in and have a seat. For all of you Baptists in the back, there's lots of seats up front. afternoon, everybody. The only thing more dangerous than me speaking impromptu is me trying to speak from notes. But this is an important occasion. Welcome to the grand opening of what we believe is not only the largest, I'm waiting for the marching band to come out, did you hear that? But the finest, most highly automated, and team par excellence of any beverage manufacturing facility in the world. And we have, I'm thrilled you've all come to be part of this. You know, as Eamon Mahoney is a great Arkansan from South Arkansas, and he used to serve on the Altel board with a lot of us. Can y'all hear me okay, by the way? I'm just curious. You can't? Okay in the back? All right. I'm either, you know how it is, you can't hear. So Eamon Mahoney said to me one time, we were reporting out on a great quarter. We'd had great accomplishments. And I finished the report. You know, we did A, and we did B, and we did C, and these were all difficult things, and they were all to be celebrated. And I said, so that's the last quarter. Now, we've got a lot to do, though, and I turned to all the things that haven't been done yet. 1, 2, 3, and he said, whoa, 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 whoa. He said, Scott, if you're not happy when you can be, you never will be. And I took that to heart, unlike most things he said to me, I guess. But it's a true truth, and today is a day to stop for just a minute. We're just stopping for 20 minutes. I'm getting in the rhythm. I'm finding it. And we're stopping to celebrate the work and the accomplishment that everybody that's in the back of the room and everybody who worked on all of the projects that it took to build this facility, what they've achieved. And so we're going to stop for 20 minutes to celebrate it. So thank you for coming. I'm going to remind you very quickly. What is our mission? What are we doing? Why are we here? I'm going to read it to you. It's our purpose statement. You can find it on the website. Our purpose. We aim to be the world's most competitive provider of beverage solutions to the most distinguished brands in order to provide smallholder farmers and their families in developing countries the ability to advance their quality of life and economic well-being. That's why we do what we do. The more successful we are in the United States and in other developed countries at making product for large restaurants, travel centers, CPG firms, it's consumer product. What is that? Consumer product goods. Thank you. The more successful we are there, the bigger the order book that we have to buy the raw ingredients that go into those beverages. The bigger order book we have, the more impact we can have for smallholder farmers around the world at getting them a fair price that allows them to feed their children and escape poverty. Perfect. It's that simple. That's why we started this business. The first year we did $1.5 million of revenue. We're going to do about $1 billion this year, and we've got great plans to grow exponentially in the next few years. So first of all, I want to thank a handful of people before we get going in today's program. The team in the back has accomplished the impossible. The Westrock Conway crew, here's what they said. It will take you 3 to 4 years to rehab this facility, to get it on, to get it qualified, to get it sanctioned by all the regulatory bodies, and produce finished product. And you did it in 3 years? No. 2 years? No. 13 months. Well done. It took everybody in the Conway crew, the Little Rock crew, the California crew, the North Carolina crew, vendors, partners, customers, everybody had to chip in to help, and everybody has done a fabulous job in between this facility and the distribution center across the circle, 2 miles from here. We are turning on effectively today 1.1 million square feet of production and distribution facilities. Now, Will is going to talk about the team and what it took to get here for a minute. But since I'm taking 20 minutes, not me, but I'm going to say a few thank yous. I do not celebrate well. I will taunt, I will trash talk, I will hunt them down, but I don't generally celebrate well. So I'm going to ask you for 2 minutes to let me celebrate and in front of you for some people who have given everything, some of them in their working life and some of them in their financial life. I'm going to start by thanking my wife of 40 years. Dee Dee and I, we married right out of college. We dated all the way through college. We had done really well after Altel, and I had put all of that back on the line. I pushed it all in because I could not bear to watch people profiteer on women that were trying to keep their children alive. As I told the Conway crew the other day, I wish I hadn't seen it. If I hadn't seen it, I wouldn't have had to do anything about it. But I did see it, and I could do something about it. But only if everybody came together and helped me. So I had the easy part. All I had to do was let go of all the money. I just let it go. That's the easy part. Now you have to pray that people come along and share the vision and actually want to fulfill that vision and that mission and build the business that will restore it, not only for me, but for themselves and for the people that we're trying to serve. She's the best. She never blinked. She never panicked. She gave me wisdom in small bite sizes that I could swallow. And she didn't overwhelm me with anxiety about that decision. In fact, you know how many times she asked me about it? 0. You should all be so lucky. My father and business partner, Joe Ford, you're going to hear from him in a few minutes. There is no better man. There is no better partner. My 3 boys. My 3 boys. Will, who you're going to hear from in a minute. Sam. There's Sam. And Joseph the playwright is in Fayetteville putting on Responders. Hurry and get a ticket. It runs through June 30th. And he's also a whale of a coffee salesman, but he's not here today. The backbone of the group that doesn't allow for failure. If you don't get support in that core group, you do what we've done, it all breaks apart. And they never flinched. They always stuck. And I'll say, because then they're sitting here on the front row, and I already had it down. My 2 great friends in business outside of the group I work with, Jeff Fox, who's on our board, my best friend for 40 years since we met in our first job, and Ted Dickey, who actually found this building, got everything and got the gears in motion so that we could get this building, get us moved in, and does everything that I can't think to do to keep us lined up and moving on mission. So thank you, gentlemen. We've got, that's worth a hand. The other board member, Toya Numasiri, who's come down from Chicago to be with us today. Thank you very much. We appreciate the travel. The leadership team at Westrock Coffee, there just isn't a better group. From longtime employees that created the vision, Matt Smith, where are you, Matt? I saw you. Matt Smith, there's employee number 1. It was me and him, and we said, can we build a coffee company in Rwanda? And he goes, I can do it. I said, good, because I can't. I'll finance you if you can build it. Today, he runs all of our procurement and logistics globally, but he started out by building the plant in Rwanda. So thank you, Matt. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for all the work. Nerea, thank you for letting him help us. Chris Pledger's right here. Chris Pledger was our outside counsel and drafted our incorporation documents. He's now the CFO of the business, has been with us the whole time. Elizabeth McLaughlin, when she moved back to Little Rock, we had no sales, and we had no sales force. And she said, I will be the sales force. I will create sales. I said, sales may be the thing we're missing here. That might help. So thank you very much. Steve McElhannon's here, early member of the team. Where are you, Steve? I saw you earlier. Over there he is. And then Goose Chanjos. Goose Chanjos was the backbone of the crew for a long time, and then he got a law degree and left us to do law, but Goose is here today. Where are you, Goose? There he is. Thank you. Thanks for coming. So this core group has made the dream, my dream, come true. So there, I wanted to call them out. I wanted to thank them. There's a whole other group that Will's going to talk about in a minute. We are thrilled here to have with us, obviously, are you Her Honor? How's that done? Sarah's fine. Okay, we're thrilled to have Sarah with us today. She's going to speak in a few moments. Senator Mark Johnson, been a big help. I saw him earlier. Thank you, Senator. There you go. And then one of my favorite all-time leaders in Arkansas, Hugh McDonald, is here from the AEDC. I knew what you did. I didn't quite know what the initials were that went with it. But thank you for all of your help for making this come about. All right, at Conway Corp., the Conway Chamber of Commerce, and the all-star rock star Brad Lacey. I saw Brad earlier. Brad, thank you for your help. And then everybody's favorite, Mayor Bart Castleberry. Bart here? All right. That was the idea group. Yeah, we can do it, let's get together. Now you got to get it done. And we called on Charlie and Jake Nabholz. And let me tell you, I know Charlie's here. Where's Charlie? Thank you, Charlie. And this would not have happened but for Nabholz Construction. It was too fast, too far, too many changes, too complicated, too technical, too difficult, never for them. And they did a fabulous job, and you are here in their hometown in a $350 million project that they built. They tore every floor in here up, re-graveled it, re-drained it, re-poured it, and built everything from the ground back up in 13 months. And Charlie, thank you, thank you, thank you. William Clark at Clark Contractors. Is William here? Did anybody see him? Yeah. Well, you know what? The same thing's true down the road. They built a 500,000 square foot distribution center in 11 months, turnkey, ready to roll. That was going to be impossible. You will never make your commitments to your customers because you can't get a DC built in that time frame. You remember people telling us that? That's just not true if you ask the right people. So thank you, Clark Contractors. All right, now finally. You know, I've talked about how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And people that will just give you any air give you life. So we had a $1.5 million business rolling in Rwanda with Matt Smith over there running it. And we came in and we had no sales. And we had our first sales force, Elizabeth. And we started selling the idea of manufacturing product for Walmart and Sam's Club. And why on God's green earth would they help a little bitty business with $1.5 million in revenue produce a commodity product that they could slot into some of their shelves? But they did, because they believe in doing business with Arkansas companies. On the other hand, paired with that, Joe and I had borrowed billions of dollars and paid it all back, and we could not borrow $1 from a bank outside of this state. And Rennie and John Rutledge and J.C. Haskell called us down for lunch, asked us what we were doing, and said, you know what? There they are. They said, you know what? We believe in you. We believe in what you're trying to do, and we're going to back you. To this day, they've backed us. That's been almost 15 years, and they were the only bank in America that would help us. So what does that say? What does that say? Two Arkansas companies that didn't have to give us the time of day. One is a customer, Walmart and Sam's Club. One is a financial institution out of Searcy. And they came together and said, you know what, we're going to see if we can help you grow your business. They got good value from us. Well, of course they did, right? But at the end of the day, today we employ 1,500 people globally, almost 500 people in this state alone. We're going to do $1 billion in revenue, and in the next 5 years, we're going to go from being the leading coffee and tea extract-based business to the leading innovative beverage creator and producer in the world. And we're going to do it in the next 5 years on the hard work that all of you who helped and all of you in the back who ran this and are about to run right through the LPR, amen, and deliver on this wonderful, marvelous, crazy dream. So thank you for coming to celebrate with us. I am going to turn the mic over to Faulkner County's own, the best man I know, Joe T. Ford.
Thank you, Scott, for the kind comments. I think you can tell he's excited about what we're doing. Many of you know that I was born in Conway. Some of you may not. We moved to Conway from Worcester when I was about 4, and I had the privilege of growing up in this town, finishing high school here. I had some great teachers. The people here were always kind and good to me, and it's a privilege for me to be a part of bringing this plant back to my home. I hope it means a lot to the city. It means a lot to me for it being here. I want to introduce Will Ford. You know, working in a family business is tough. I worked with my father-in-law. Scott works with his father. Will works with his father. It's not always easy when you're in that situation. But when Will finished Baylor, Scott said to him, I think you should go to Italy to a major university there and get a degree. He got a master's in coffee economics and science from the best place in the world that you can do that in a university that is largely financed by a family that's been in the coffee business for 100 years. Will is responsible for all of our operations. He's group president for operations. He's responsible for Matt Smith, you met, procuring everything, distribution of everything, and all in between. That's the manufacturing out of this plant, the manufacturing out of North Little Rock, North Carolina, our plants in California, our plant in Malaysia. He's responsible for all manufacturing. He's a young man that's very bright. He's doing a very fine job, and it's my privilege now to present to you Will Ford.
That was sweet and unexpected. And not often you get to be introduced by such a man. So thank y'all. And thank you for being here as well, Governor. You know, I think when you look back at Westrock's story and you see where we are today, most people, I would assume, it makes sense that we're here. That we chose the decisions that we made and we invested into X and we delivered on Y. But in those moments, it was nowhere close to that. The only thing that I think that this business has tried to do well is the right next thing. We have tried to deliver for our customers, to deliver for our shareholders, and to help our employees create a stability of life and a job that they can be proud of. And I think that one of the key themes of who we are is we say yes and we do hard things. I think that's kind of become the mantra of this plant in specific. We had to upsize the plant multiple times, put shoe in said mouth. A couple of years ago, we talked about what this plant would be. And in the original design, this was a distribution center, where you're sitting. And so we had that wrong. We misjudged the size of the market and what all we needed to be and what all we needed to build. And our finance team and our whole company rallied around going back to the market, raising more money to deliver what our customers asked us to do. This we that we talk about, there's a quote by author Jim Collins who says that great vision without great people is irrelevant. And it's a quote I had written on a whiteboard, like most of my ideas. And we have great vision. It's bodacious, it's unforgiving, and it's why we are here. But that great vision does take great people. And I think a few people, Scott and Joe have both talked about, and there's a few more that are deserving. Frankly, all are deserving, but we have within 20 minutes, and I promise you there's too many to name within 20 minutes. There are 165 people that are employed inside this plant on opening day. 72 have moved from out of state. 44% of the Conway staff has moved into Arkansas to support this business, this community, and their customers. That's a huge feat. Brian Duffy, where are you? Because there you are. You are the man who has worked endlessly to get that done and to bring those people here. There are a few names, and I have a few things to say about each. So Shai Zohar. Scott has this thing, at least it was a few years ago, I'm sure it's changed, but it was the 4 tenets of what takes a great employee, and he can tell you those later because I've changed them. I've consolidated it down to 2. It is willingness and resilient. And if you're going to be a part of this company, you have to be both of those. Because we move fast, we make decisions, and we live through it. And when we decided to launch this plant, Shai Zohar, who runs engineering and has run just about everything in our operational space, said yes to taking on this adventure. We had no experience in what we signed up for, surprise. But he surrounded himself with great partners and great people, and he said yes to the hard thing. And so thank you, Shai, because, yeah. Because wrangling a crew like Nabholz and Clark is no easy feat, so good for you, man. Also, like Scott said, Nabholz and Clark Construction and Tempest Realty, who helped finance the build out of that distribution center. We wouldn't be here without any of y'all, so thank you for that. Cedric Smith, our head of liquid manufacturing, but the first employee ever hired for Conway. We casted this said vision to you, and you said yes. And you have helped drive the culture of this plant. You have helped enforce that it is the right people who have the right expertise. And thank you for trusting us with your career and the people that you have brought with you. Thank you. Scott Searles. Woo, Scott Searles. There you are. 40 years of process and project management, who came out of retirement to come and help us deliver this dream. I cannot say enough about all the things that you have taken on, all the late night and early morning phone calls to get our team all on the same page and to help deliver us today. Thank you, Scott. There's only 2 more. There's 2 more, so sorry to do all the intermittent claps. Mike Mastio. Also out of retirement at too early of an age, I will say, at 51. He elevated our knowledge, our expertise, our industry relationships, and he leads with a servant heart that empowers those around him to reach the potential that he sees in them. Thank you. And I'd also add that between us, we have 2 PhDs. I have 0 of them, but I'd like to just be a part of that PhD group. So thank you, Mike. And lastly, the Kyles, as we refer to them, or Kyle squared. This project stands today because of the team who built it and the team who sold it. No plant, when nothing existed, has been sold nor could have been sold if not for these 2, who took it upon themselves using their personal relationships, decades-long relationships, to invite their network, their friends, their customers to come and be a part of our project. No plant has been sold out in its capacity to this amount before dirt had ever been touched. And it would not have been possible without their network web effect and their willingness to be on the road and take the late night phone calls, to travel and to be a friend and to be trusted by them. So thank you. Thank both of you. Now I actually get to introduce a governor, which is a really neat opportunity. But we wanted to thank you and your team for all of y'all's support. Your hands-on leadership and effectiveness has helped ensure that Westrock is on time with this project, but also the support that you do around this state with all the other businesses in this amazing state. So thank you for that, and thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Governor Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you. It is such an incredible honor to be here and to share the stage with such an incredible family. Will, thank you so much for the introduction, and thank you, Scott and Joe, for letting me sit with the Ford family today. I feel like maybe I'll get invited for Thanksgiving or Christmas at this point, but you joked that it can be hard to be in the family business. I certainly know a little bit about that difficulty, but what an incredible family and business, but more importantly, a legacy that each of you have and that you have passed on to one another, and Will, that I know you will continue with your own family. Thank you to each one of you for not what you do, but more importantly, who you are. So thank you. I'm glad that I get to be here today also with members of my team who have helped throughout this process, and not just with this business, but every business here in the state of Arkansas. Secretary Hugh McDonald, who runs the Commerce Department, could not be doing a better job. Clint O'Neill from AEDC, who really helps put the nuts and bolts on a lot of the business that we have been working on over the course of the last year and a half, and they do just a tremendous job and a great partnership and dynamic duo leading at that front, and we're very grateful for the work that you do. I know we've got the Conway mayor, Faulkner County judge, and also many of our state legislators and business leaders from around the state. This doesn't happen by accident, that you have this level of power and influence from around the state that show up. It is because of what you have been able to do and accomplish here. It was only about a year ago that we were all here to celebrate the announcement of this facility. And I'll be honest with you, when I came and I saw the amount of work that still needed to be done, I thought there was no way that I would be back so quickly. But as an old boss of mine used to say, Westrock has managed to pull this project together under budget and ahead of schedule, which is pretty remarkable. Maybe on the budget. I'm excited both as a governor who's working to grow our state's economy, and also as a well-known coffee addict who is always looking for more Arkansas-based caffeine options, that you were able to turn this so quickly. In fact, we may need to talk about the coffee at the governor's mansion to get that replaced, make sure we have Westrock Coffee there. In all seriousness, standing in this facility, it is hard to imagine that Westrock Coffee is only a 15-year-old company. Most businesses take decades to scale up facilities of this size and scope. A $315 million investment, 570,000 square feet, and as many as 900 employees. But frankly, as I look to my right, none of us should be surprised that Westrock has achieved this kind of success and with this kind of speed, knowing that the Ford family is behind it. Westrock's beginnings were humble. Joe Ford, who many of you know his story, grew Alltel from a small local landline provider into a telecom giant. And after his company's sale, both Joe and Scott were trying out retirement, and I don't think they liked it very much. Maybe it was their wives that really didn't like their retirement very much. And it's hard to imagine someone like Joe, who's so good at business and who had spent decades at the top of his industry, stepping back completely from entrepreneurship. And so he and his son decided to start something completely brand new and from scratch. Scott's inspiration came during volunteer trips to Rwanda, where he saw small-hold coffee farmers forced to sell their product to one of only 2 mills in the entire country. He was half a world away, but while he was there, he saw echoes of home. Joe grew up during the Great Depression, And his own story shows that when ambitious people are given opportunity, the sky is truly the limit. And the Fords went all in. They built a mill and basically built the entire town surrounding that mill. They set up distribution chains, they found buyers, and they created Westrock Coffee. As Scott will be quick to tell you, this wasn't a charity. They weren't giving these farmers handouts. Instead, they were building a sustainable business and giving poor Rwandans access to a literal world of opportunity. If you ask me, frankly, that's better than any handout could ever be. It wasn't always easy. In fact, Scott tells a story about how a few years back he was worried the entire business might fail to launch. And this wasn't a great concern because, they'd stake just every single penny they had into Westrock's success. So Scott went to his wife and told her that if a few things went wrong in a row, that they would lose everything. And Scott's wife, Dee Dee, looked at him and said, "We started with $600. If we go back to zero, we'll just have to do it again." Scott's grandmother taught him how to butcher hogs and raise a garden. And if worse came to worse, they could go back to that. Although I have a feeling, I'm not sure I could picture you managing that anymore these days. Lucky for us, worse didn't come to worse. But I think that story tells you a little bit about what makes Arkansas so different. Alltel grew here for a reason. We're home to Fortune 1 for a reason. And Westrock is succeeding here in Arkansas for a reason. One of my favorite stories and lines I've ever heard Scott tell, and he's got a few pretty good zingers, but he tells a story about seeing a colleague on the streets of New York City who asked him why, after all of his success in business, was he still living in a place like Arkansas. And Scott responded, and I'm going to quote this, "I hope that before your days are finished, you'll realize you could have lived in Arkansas all these years too." What a great testament to our state. There's something here in the water, in the natural state. And when you crack the door of opportunity, just like Westrock did for those Rwandan farmers, Arkansans will fling it open and run right through it every single time. That's why my administration has been focused on education, public safety, and helping small businesses, especially in Arkansas's most disadvantaged communities. Because I guarantee that our next Waltons, our next Stevens, and our next Fords are just chomping at the bit somewhere in our state, just waiting for a little bit of opportunity to build something truly great. Thank you to everyone for joining us here today in this celebration. Thank you to the entire team who I know has worked countless and tireless hours to make it possible for us to be here. If this is what your company has managed to build after just 15 years in business, I cannot wait to see what the next 15 look like. Thank you for letting me be here, and thank you for the incredible legacy that you are leaving for our entire state.
She's great. Isn't that fun? Okay. We're basically on schedule. You should have, hey, team in the back, I don't know if they've got a cooler back there for you. In your chair, you should have a Westrock-made RTD. Mine is rich and chocolatey mocha with almond milk. What's yours? Shake gently, not vigorously. And would you join me in a cheer to the opening of the most fabulous beverage manufacturing facility in the entire world? Cheers. That's an R&D sample, but that's quality ready for sale. Thanks, everybody. Okay, somebody tell me what we do next. Are we doing tour? Does everybody get out of here? What are we doing? Okay. You're clear, you tell them, because I didn't hear.
That's it.
Okay. All right, that's the show. Thanks, everybody. We know you've got to get back to work just like us. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support. We hope you have a great afternoon.